Hello everybody, my name is Chris and welcome to a brand new movie review. Now, this one is for Scream 6, so I finally watched Scream 6, and with this 6 entries in the Scream franchise, we follow again the competitive system. It's been a year since the Woodsboro attack, along with the mixed twins just trying to attend college and move on with their lives, only for Ghostface to show back up and chase them around the street of New York City. Now, that's pretty much all I can say without giving any spoilers away. There will be no spoilers in this video. Now, I'm a big Scream fan, and I love this franchise since I was a kid. And my core memories of watching those movies for the first time is something that I cherish. So, of course, last year when they released Scream 5 without Wes Craven directing and the radio silence theme attached, I was hesitant, but I walked out relatively happy with that movie. I thought it was a nice step back into the Scream world, introduced us to some newfound characters while still being able to include some of the big legacy stars like Neve Campbell, Courteney and David Arquette. Now, it wasn't like the best Scream movie ever made or my favorite of the franchise, but I really have a good time with it. So, hearing Scream 6 was coming out, I was still on board, but I want to see this character return and to see what is going on with their lives. Now, but the number one thing that I was begging for as soon as they announced Scream 6 is they finally try something different. They do a little experimenting with the franchise, because I'm saying I enjoyed Scream 5, but to me it became very obvious that the simple, safe formula of Scream can only be repeated so many times before its magic is obviously lost. And we just watching another redundant Scream movie. So then I see it's set in New York City. Perfect. And the trailer show off Ghostface holding a shotgun, held a brand new mask for the very first time in the franchise, all crop up and all. The stars of the film promising that it will be the glorious and most vicious Ghostface. Oh, they better not be lying to me. And thank goodness they did not lie to me, boy. Now, this Scream fan walked out of the theater so happy with this movie. They finally went out of the box with Ghostface, where I remember the backlash some people were giving when Ghostface was holding the shotgun and popping it out. There was really people ready to boycott and throw away the movie. But that's the stuff that I was like, yes, do more of that. In the context of the film, that scene works perfectly, along with so much other stuff. Like straight from the beginning, an opening sequence is crucial to a Scream movie, and the opening sequence here is unique, it's different, and we haven't seen anything like it before, and I love every minute of it. Then you get past the opening sequence and you think, okay, so they're going to do something different here, but and show where's the rest of the movie is going to follow those standard Scream formula and play itself out. No, this movie just it doesn't stop. It goes straight into it. You know, it was battle with the last movie is being Scream instead of Scream 5, which is obviously was. So I was kind of caught off guard when they just went back with the numbering things and put the C attached to this one. But it really goes to show you that this movie is trying to pay respect to the fans and everyone who has followed along. And these past Scream movies, yeah. Now, the obvious elephant in the room is that Neve Campbell publicly came out saying that she's not going to be part of this movie because of a paid dispute, which I totally stand behind her and respect her decision. But I'm not going to lie, I was kind of holding me inside that Sidney Prescott would not be part of another Scream movie. And like, are you kidding me? But I watched the film and they explained it perfectly, and it would have made sense if Sidney showed up in this movie, especially with something like the shrine being in Screen 6. That is the little of a room filled with stuff that directly connects to Sidney Prescott. What a missed opportunity to have her walk to the shrine and see everything. Yeah, when it came time to explore the shrine in the movie, I was kind of a great example of how Ghostface attacks has haunted a lot more people than just Sidney Prescott. Several other characters we're following here have something in that room that directly haunts them or makes them uncomfortable. The Ghostface will have this object. And that made me admire what they were trying to do here and with the shrine in this movie. And I think that's a major accomplishment on its own. That this movie plays out, and I'm not thinking to myself, oh man, I could really use some Sidney Prescott right now. Neve Campbell will sure light the spotlight in this room. But all mainly because the surviving 4 characters who are returning in this movie, along with the new faces, are really fleshed out. And the dynamic between them really shine in this movie. You can totally feel they went through something traumatic in the last movie that's only bonding them in this one. You know, I liked them in the last movie, but I wasn't in love with those characters just yet. But as time has passed, in this movie, I'm in love with this character as much I love the old legacy characters. Mason Gooding as Shahir, he gets a lot to work with and kind of be the standout of the returning characters in this movie. Jenna Ortega, of course, crushes it, and Melissa Barrera, I think, continues to do a great job. Also, definitely just love every minute I had with Mindy. Also, along with the new faces in here, Josh Segura, I thought it was great for the amount of screen time he had, and Anika would probably be the standout among the new fresh faces, and the legacy characters I also love and what they do with them in here. You can just tell the radio silence they are Scream fans. My opinion entirely guilty in here. Just know what fans want to see of these people like Kirby and Gale Weathers, and they delivered that, man. Like, especially with Gale, because one of the things that I thought it was lacking in the last entry, it was a lot of Ghostface moments. You know, chase sequences, drills, edge of your seat stuff. That makes me terrified of Ghostface masks. The idea of a human just pointing at you with a knife could be a real possibility. Has just always scared me. And this movie, there were like 4 or 5 Ghostface chase sequences and moments they outdo a lot of the franchise has done in the past. And when I tell you this is going to be, you're going to be sweating your pants and going to be edged out on your seat in this movie. I mean it, man. They took fully advantage of the New York setting and got really creative with Ghostface and what he's capable of. Also, this film set on Halloween, and I kind of wish they play out the Halloween aspect a little bit more, like gather people in costume and whatnot, and to Ghostface to get blend in. But kind of there were like some pumpkins and Halloween decoration. You don't necessarily get the Halloween vibe in here, but that's a small complaint. And the top buildings, the dark alleyways, the ladder sequences, and even so much more. Ghostface is a huge threat in this movie. The person he is behind the mask is not playing around, and I say it's the goriest and most vicious Scream movie. Yeah, and I thought the last movie had pretty cool wicked kills, but this kind of outdoes that 10 times over. Now they're like really focusing on the knife going into the stomach, like zooming in the twisting stuff, and all other sequences where characters just completely annihilated. You feel that blow, you feel that punch, you feel for the character who's receiving that pain. And all really because this movie was finally trying to do its own thing instead of living in the shadow of what came before. And that's exactly what I wanted from the creative team to do with Ghostface, because also the best way to keep the franchise there. But okay, now you hear me so many great things talking about this movie. Now let's get into some of the issues that I have with the movie. Now, because this movie isn't perfect, and no Scream movie is. Well, it says the first movie. I think that is perfect. Now, as I dive into my negatives and nitpicks, realize they are just nitpicks from who is a super fan of this franchise. So as much as I love it, I'm also over analyzing it because I want this movie to be just perfect, and they can never be, right? So even with the stuff that I'm about to say, I still firmly believe the Scream series is a winner of a sequel. It's not a follower that I think ruins the consistency of Scream, because I'm still a firm believer that there isn't a bad Scream movie there. Just definitely some Scream movies are better than others. So my biggest grip I had with this movie, unfortunately, when it came down to the review and the motive, basically everything involving the last 10 to 15 minutes of the movie, I thought that was the weakest part. And I'm not gonna be able to get into super details here because there will be no spoilers here, but I just thought that when the movie was doing before, they were taking some huge risks, some unique turns with Ghostface, and you get that finally, like, this feels kind of a familiar. And along with you, that it also happens a lot of plot convenience and convoluted things that happen, so the audience was surprised for the review. And then it just, I think that it does a great job of keeping you guessing who Ghostface is. But like I mentioned, there's always someone who's going to know who Ghostface is, and it's the smarter person in the room, because I saw it coming. And it's mostly because of the motive, because the motive in Scream 5 was brilliant about toxic fandom, but here the motive was not brilliant. It was underwhelmed because everything before it was so unique and different that I thought, they're going to put something unique and different here. Now, my other nitpicks that I have here for once is that I feel the radio silence or the writing team behind these past two Scream movies really need to work on the Saturday between the group and the whole who is factor. And the other thing I say without trying to get too spoiling is some of the characters here must have multiple organs so they can survive some crazy attacks. I'm not saying they're getting to ridiculous levels just here, but there are definitely times when I'm going to, there's no way they're still walking after what just happened to them. And those was like my biggest nitpick at the end of the day with this movie. But it's a great freaking Scream movie, a solid sequel. And honestly, they took some risks with this movie. They did different things and unique things that really helped the franchise overall. They really appreciate it. And I love that. And start falling back on that formula in the last 10 minutes and giving us something familiar. Do something wild. Even if I'm going to hate it, the fact that you took that risk, I think it would be worth it. and I respect that. So that's my review for Scream 6. I'm still excited with this franchise and I can't wait for another Scream movie. So this definitely you shall watch in theater. So if you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button, consider subscribing to the channel, and thank you for watching. See you guys later. Bye bye.